Most IFS customers struggle with security when migrating from older IFS versions to IFS Cloud. Projection grants and permission set handling are frequent pain points. Nayo Security Suite offers a fast, straightforward way to manage and migrate those security grants. Nayo Security Suite is an advanced solution designed to simplify and streamline security data management across IFS environments. It enables seamless security migration from legacy systems, including IFS IEE, to IFS Cloud, and supports extracting, modifying, and re-importing security data within IFS Cloud. Here's what we'll cover in today's Nayo Security Suite demo. First, a quick overview. Then, IFS environment maintenance. Next, security migration, IFS Cloud security management. Then, user management. And finally, a look at what's coming next, segregation of duties. Before we dive in, here's a quick recap of what Nayo Security Suite does. It brings together IFS environment management, security migration from IFS IEE to IFS Cloud, IFS Cloud security export and import, user management, and, coming next, segregation of duties, all in one tool, so security data across your IFS environments is easy to manage, review, and update. Let's walk through each of these, starting with the home page. It shows shortcuts to each feature: permission set migration, export, import, users, and IFS environments. On the right, it lists the environments already configured. Let's go to IFS environments, where environments are maintained. Here you can see the environments already added, and you can edit or delete any of them. The Add IFS Environment button lets you add a new one. The table lists each environment's name and type, so you can filter by either. Let's add an IFS IE environment. I'll name it IFS IE app, set the environment type to IFS IE, and provide the username and password. For database configuration, I'll provide the host, port, and database or service name. Once all the required details are in, I'll press Test Connection. Connection succeeds, then press Create Environment. The new environment now appears in the list. Let's add an IFS Cloud environment too. Before doing that, there are a few prerequisites to set up on the IFS Cloud side. First, we need to create an IAM client. This is what Nayo Security Suite uses to access cloud. In IFS Cloud, I'll add a new client and name it NayoSS Demo Client. I'll make sure it's enabled with the service account and direct access grant options enabled. And I'll enable creating a service user account as well. Pressing OK creates the IAM client. Once it's created, the list view shows the client ID, service account user, and secret. I'll copy the service account username and find that user in the users section. Here's the created user account. It doesn't have any permission sets granted yet. We need to grant it several permission sets so it can access IFS Cloud through Nayo Security Suite. Before granting anything, we first need to create a permission set called NayoSS admin and grant it all the relevant projections. I've already done that here. Back on the service account user, I'll grant the custom NayoSS admin permission set, along with fnd admin and fnd webenduser main. With the prerequisites done, let's go back to Nayo Security Suite and add the IFS Cloud environment. I'll name it IFS Demo App, provide the base URL of the cloud environment, and enter the client ID and secret from the IAM client we just created. To get the well-known configuration endpoint, go to the API Explorer in IFS Cloud, open the specification for any API, switch to OpenAPI v3, and search for OpenItConnectURL. That value is the well-known configuration endpoint. I'll copy it and paste it into the tool. There's also an SSL certificate verification toggle. Switch it off when the environment doesn't have proper certificate signing or uses a self-signed certificate. Then I'll test the connection. It succeeds, confirming all the details match, and create the environment. Now both the newly added IEE and cloud environments are listed. Let's look at permission set migration. Here's the problem it solves. When clients migrate from an older IFS version to IFS Cloud, their custom permission sets carry over, but the projection grants don't. Nayo Security Suite maps the older version's presentation objects to the equivalent projections in the newer version using AI matching, descriptions, labels, and a pre-identified mapping file, then grants the most accurate matches to the selected permission sets. The migration flow has 4 steps. Define environments, select permission sets, mapping preview, and grant projections. Step 1. Define environments. Select a source and a target environment. The source must be an IFS IE environment. The target is the IFS Cloud environment. Once selected, the tool shows the connection status for each independently. When both connections succeed, you can proceed to the next step. Step 2. Select permission sets. This step lists all custom permission sets found in the source IFS IE environment. You can select all of them, or specific ones. For this demo, I'll select Nayo Purchase and Nayo Sales. Once selected, the table footer confirms the selection. 2 permission sets covering 366 presentation object IDs. Those IDs are what will map to IFS Cloud projections in the next step. Step 3. Mapping preview. Once mapping completes, the preview shows each presentation object ID and its mapped projection, along with the IE name, cloud name, mapping method used, and the component it belongs to. Before moving to the final step, let's check the source environment. IFS Applications 10 to see how the 2 selected permission sets currently look. Nayo Sales has a number of object grants, and so does Nayo Purchase. Now let's check IFS Cloud before running the migration. Both custom permission sets exist there already, but neither has any projections granted yet. Back in Nayo Security Suite, the mapping preview shows each presentation object matched to a projection, along with the method used, description, AI, manual, or label. You can also export the mapping summary to Excel. The export includes 3 sheets: unmatched IE, unmatched IFS Cloud, and matched IFS IE versus IFS Cloud. Step 4. Grant projections. This step lists the 2 selected permission sets, each with the projections mapped by the tool underneath. You can grant them individually or all at once. Let's grant both together using the Grant Permission button at the bottom of the table. A confirmation dialog appears, asking what access level to apply to partially granted IEE objects, full or read-only. We'll choose full. The grant runs with a live progress bar and completes successfully. You can review the grant activity log for a detailed record of everything that happened during the process, and download it if needed. To confirm the grant succeeded, let's return to the IFS Cloud environment and refresh. Nayo Sales and Nayo Purchase now both have their projections granted with full access. IFS Cloud doesn't offer a clear, consolidated view of security details. Nayo Security Suite solves this by exporting selected permission sets, organized by IFS Cloud Navigator items, into a spreadsheet that's much easier to read. Let's walk through an export. First, choose an environment. Once you select the IFS Cloud environment, the right panel shows end-user permission sets by default. Check functional role to include functional permission sets as well. On the left, you'll see the root level IFS Cloud Navigator items. Select all or specific ones. For this demo, I'll select the Nayo Purchase and Nayo Sales permission sets with the Procurement and Sales Navigator items. Pressing Proceed Export opens a modal with 3 options. Export Empty Spreadsheet starts a fresh export with no existing grants populated. Include Actions determines whether each projection's entity actions are included alongside the projection itself. Include Custom Projections covers any custom projections that aren't registered to a Navigator item. For this demo, I'll uncheck Include Actions and export without them by pressing Start. Once export completes, you're prompted for a destination folder and file name. Let's open the exported spreadsheet. The spreadsheet lists the selected Navigator root items down the rows and the selected permission sets across the columns. Each permission set has 3 subcolumns: None, View, and Edit, representing no access, read only, and full access respectively. Expanding a navigator item reveals its sub-items, and expanding one of those, order, for example, reveals the individual pages and their associated projections. In row 48, order shows an X marked across all 3 columns under Nayo Purchase, indicating that access across read-only, full, and none is mixed within that group, so you know at a glance there's variation without expanding further. Drilling in, purchase orders handling has full access, purchase order charges handling has read-only access, and quick purchase order register handling has no access granted. You can also update access levels directly in the spreadsheet. Let's try customer order handling. I'll enter M in the view column for Nayo Purchase and M in the view column for purchase quotation handling under Nayo Sales. First, back in IFS Cloud, let's confirm neither grant currently exists. There's no customer order handling grant for Nayo Purchase and no purchase quotation handling grant for Nayo Sales. Back in Nayo Security Suite, switch to Import. Select the cloud environment to update, then choose the modified spreadsheet. You can specify the update character the tool should read during import, M by default, and use any letter except X. There's also an option to create a new permission set, which I'll cover shortly. Pressing Proceed Import prompts a confirmation dialog. Once confirmed, the import runs with a live progress bar and log and completes successfully. Back in IFS Cloud, after refreshing, Nayo Sales now has purchase quotation handling with read-only access, and Nayo Purchase now has customer order handling with read-only access. Back in the tool, the live log shows every activity that occurred during the import. Creating a new permission set using the exported spreadsheet. Start by copying an existing permission sets column and clearing its existing grant data. Rename the copied column to the new permission set's name. The suffix in parentheses indicates the role type, E for an end-user role, or F for a functional role. For this demo, I'll grant full access to several projections across both sales and procurement by entering M in the edit column. Currently, Nayo Sales CV doesn't exist in IFS Cloud. Let's import the modified spreadsheet, making sure Create New Permission Set is checked. Without it, the new permission set won't be created. Pressing Proceed Import opens a confirmation dialog. Once confirmed, the tool reads the modified spreadsheet with live logs and creates the new permission set. After refreshing the IFS Cloud page, Nayo Sales CV now exists with the full access projection grants we assigned. The user management feature lets you grant and revoke permission sets, companies and sites, and user group assignments for individual users, with a clear summary view of everything a user has been granted. This addresses a significant pain point in IFS Cloud. When you duplicate an existing user, Cloud doesn't carry over that user's permission sets, companies, sites, or user group grants, and it doesn't create sites per user either. Nayo Security Suite solves both problems directly. For example, say user A leaves the company and user B is taking over their role. With this feature, you can simply duplicate user A with all their relevant permissions, so user B doesn't need to be set up from scratch. First, select the IFS Cloud environment. Once selected, the tool displays all users currently in that environment. I'll search for a test user for this demo. Selecting a user shows their details on the right, across 4 tabs: Permission Sets, Companies and Sites, User Groups, and Summary. The Permission Sets tab lists end user and functional permission sets. Grant or revoke by checking or unchecking the box preceding each permission set name. Functional role checkboxes are disabled, since functional roles can't be granted directly to a user. The ones already granted to the user are highlighted in green. The Companies at Sites tab groups sites under their parent company, companies at the root level, with their sites listed underneath. The User Groups tab lists all user groups in the cloud environment, with the ones already assigned to the user highlighted in green. The Summary tab gives a consolidated view of everything. direct and indirect permission set grants, companies and sites, and user groups. Let's grant something to this user. Alongside the permission sets already highlighted in green, I'll add the NayoSS admin permission set. Checking it enables the save and discard buttons, and the counter panel shows one new. Pressing discard would clear any newly checked items. The same approach applies to selecting a default company and site, and to user groups. Pressing save opens a confirmation modal summarizing the pending changes. In this case, one permission set grant. Confirming completes the grant successfully, and the summary tab now shows NayoSS admin as a new direct grant. To verify in IFS Cloud. Before the change, the user has two permission sets as direct grants. After reloading, NayoSS admin now appears as a third. The All Grants tab confirms its grant type as direct. Revoking works the same way, in reverse. Now let's duplicate this user. Press Duplicate User and provide a new identity for the duplicate. The directory ID can be changed or left matching the identity, and other properties can be adjusted as needed. Once the required fields are filled in, press Create User to complete the duplication. The newly created user appears with the same permission sets as the original. Checking IFS Cloud after a reload confirms the new user with matching permission sets, groups, and companies. The tool also creates a corresponding person record. Looking at the user's sites, the tool has created sites per user. 2 sites plus a default site, mirroring the source user's setup exactly. Before we wrap up, a look at what's coming next: segregation of duties. This feature will let you review conflicting permission sets across your IFS Cloud environment, identifying combinations of access that shouldn't sit with the same user or role. You'll be able to upload your own segregation of duty rule set, define which permission set and projection combinations are considered conflicts, and have the tool evaluate your environment against those rules. The result is a clear view of where segregation of duty violations exist, so you can resolve them before they become audit findings. That's Nayo Security Suite. From environment setup, to permission set migration, to security export-import, to user management, with segregation of duties on the way. All designed to take the pain out of managing security across IFS environments. Thank you for watching, and reach out to the Nayo team to see the suite in action on your own environment.